Dr. Sven Bayer. Dr. Sven is a partner and advisory corporate finance at KPMG. He holds a combined master's degree in management science and electrical engineering, Doctor of Economics, chartered financial analyst. Dr. Sven has extensive experience of company valuation. Dr. Sven has extensive experience of company valuation as well as the valuation of intangible assets, in particular in the context of transactions. He is also advising in the area of intangible asset management, in particular brands or technology. Dr. Sven would like to introduce himself also with a couple of lines to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that nice introduction. And also from my side, it's a pleasure to be here and to see that the topic of IP is of this interest. And so maybe since I'm in economics and engineering, I may have a different view on IP. I started working with the PwC, and due to the merger of Pricewaterhouse with Coopers and Lightfront, they set up also a couple of new teams and new sectors. One of them was in 1998 the Intangible Asset Management Group, and I was happy to lead this group and to set up this group at this time. So I'm in the area right now for around 10 years. But on the other hand, if you look on the kind of work we did before, it was mainly valuation work for tax purposes. Since we are an accounting firm, we started with that type of work, so the management aspect was a little bit overshadowed by where's the business actually at the moment, and this was clearly evaluation work. Due to the introduction of the US GAAP SFAS 141, which forces companies to split up the purchase price in case they buy another company, to split up the purchase price to hidden reserves in tangible assets, as well as to split up the purchase price to the intellectual property they bought. Together with the enforcement we've seen in these times by the SEC, we had tremendous amount of work to value not just for tax purposes but also for accounting purposes. And so, yeah, my experience is based in that area. Nevertheless, I think 5 years later, what we've seen is also a lot of M&A business, so that companies started to transfer just a single IP. If you listen to my colleagues, there was one very interesting point among others, which is, will I have to look on a single IP, or isn't it just necessary to have a close look at the context where I make use of the IP? And to my understanding, if I come down to valuation, for instance, this is a very, very important issue to keep in mind, that IP as such is not just a singular question or matter, but it's something which is embedded in an environment. So you have to think about the environment where you are in, and then you have to answer the question, how can I make use of IP within the given environment where I'm operating in. So at the moment we are approaching the management area, which means not just management of IP with respect to, well, say patent management from a legal point of view, but to come down to the P&L, to come down to the numbers. Many people will tell you that you can't manage what you can't measure. So there is still a huge need of quantifying IP measures, of quantifying, for instance, what is not just the value of a brand, but what is the P&L impact of investments in IP, and what is the impact of the economic wealth and so on. So that is something I'm working on right now. But perhaps come back to the topic I'm here. Let me go 30 years back in time. I was, well then, a teenager, child, better say teenager, 16 years old. And I was learned the following at school. There are, in every economy, 3 sectors. First, the so-called primary sector, which covers the agricultural area of food production. Second, the so-called secondary or industrial sector, which covers, of course, all industrial production. Then they introduced something called the tertiary sector, which covers, well, everything about a service economy. This was the basic idea back in 1978, that we will have something like a service economy. Well, the hypothesis was that since we've already seen a shift from the primary to the secondary sector due to increasing productivity, the next shift would be from the secondary to the tertiary sector, also due to increasing productivity. Well, they failed insofar that there is nothing like well, a pure service economy, what we see right now in the Western economies. But instead, there was a shift to a knowledge-driven economy, purely intellectual service and management. So if you look, for instance, at Adidas, the sportswear producer, then their competency is clearly not to produce the best sportswear of the world. Saying to produce the best sportswear of the world. Instead, what is Adidas doing is to convert its research and development and know-how into products wanted by consumers that are excellent in marketing and branding. And they are able to make sure that the products keep the strong quality standards they defined. So they have brand IP, they have technology-related IP, they have logistic IP, they have organizational IP. And the question will be why they are doing business in a way like this. Well, not because of the productivity in the secondary sector is so high, but because they just can't afford it anymore to produce it on their own. It is just better for their margins to outsource to someone else who is more efficient. On the other hand, where's the value and the money? It is clearly within the management of that IP.